right back to Jeffrey Hare talking about the metro districts and this legislation that will be heard in committee on Monday. Real quickly, though, Jeff, you told me about the court case involving your metro district, and I think people ought to know who paid the bill for the developer versus who paid the bill for the residents when it came to the legal fees. Yeah,
that's a great question, and it's one of those things people won't believe when I say it, but during some of the legal battles that we had, the attorney that was representing the developer on this became the attorney also for one of the Metro District boards. So they were using Metro District funds to help fight this case against us as citizens who were paying out of our pocket.
So the residents of the Metro District funding their own case while the Metro District Board was using your money also. So you guys paid for both sides.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
David and Goliath at its finest there.
Yeah, and you were funding Goliath.
Exactly.
And David. Unbelievable. Okay, let's get to the legislation itself. It's House Bill. What number is it? So in case folks are one of those you're like me and you actually track legislation.
Yeah, it's 1239. It will be heard by the local government committee on Monday afternoon.
Monday afternoon, so 1:30. And are you testifying?
I am testifying, and there hopefully will be a bunch of other people from around the state with similar stories, but unique in their own aspects, to come and testify as well.
So what is this bill? What are you looking to do? Are you going to try and eliminate metro districts?
No. I think it's the two things we're really focusing on is transparency and accountability, which is, go back to 2009, the bill that Justin testified on and wrote about. A lot of it comes down to increasing the ability for accountability between the elected officials or the ability to elected officials and those that are provided services within the community. So there's multiple elements of this. There's like three major themes. The one that's kind of most near and dear to my heart is expanding the definition of an eligible elector. As it stands right now, you're only eligible to vote in an election process where you own property within that. And the way that some of the districts are formed, you could have a board where you don't own property and that makes all the decisions. Either what's called a postage stamp district, a developer has a small parcel of land where only they can serve, and that's the legal boundaries of the district, or some overlapping district structure, which was the case in our community.
So help me try and understand this. You said only people who own property in a metro district serve on the board. Is there something wrong with that?
Well, the problem is the way the postage stamp districts, for example, are done, and there's several examples of these where a metro district, a multipurpose district, which Justin was talking about, we're providing like water and sanitation services. A developer or a private citizen, in essence, can form a developer, a governmental entity, and they can provide water and sanitation to a large surrounding area. And those citizens, because they're not contained within the boundaries of that district.
The physical boundary of the property of that district, even though they might be getting services, they have no say.
Right. They cannot vote in the election. They cannot run for office in those scenarios.
Wow. Okay. So what would you like that new definition then to be?
Well, like any other form of government, they should be able to vote for those people and run for those offices. So we're suggesting that the definition of an eligible elector gets expanded to be the service area, i.e. they're providing services, even if they're not a property owner within the context of that district.
So, and let's say you were somebody who rented property, you could vote then if you are inside that district. So if you lived in a rental, that's what I'm wondering too, because if you own property, but you've rented it to somebody.
If you own, that is the owner of the property in that scenario that would be eligible to vote, not necessarily the renter. Justin can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the case.
Okay. So what else is in this? So we have transparency, expanding the definition of elector. Transparency, I am hoping it involves transparency, financial transparency, because if I remember correctly, they're not even required to submit financials every year.
Yeah, well, most of the districts above a certain level have to get an audit, and that's the the only level of transparency that happens, but only CPAs and bean counters like myself can understand those audited financial statements in most cases, and they aren't required to present those to the community. They're just required to present those to the state.
Well, they just give them to DOLA, and I don't think DOLA even really does anything with them. Department of Local Affairs, because we've been through there are 3,000 of them, and there's a handful of people down at Department of Local Affairs. DOLA doesn't have time to go through each and every one.
Yeah, there's no designated oversight by DOLA. They're essentially collecting information.
Yeah, that's it. They're a central repository. Right. Okay, so what else is in there?
So the other things, one other major point is what happens when a metro district crosses boundaries between counties. So that's an area where right now they can cross boundaries via service plan modification or sometimes an intergovernmental agreement, and the county that they're moving into has no authority. That the whole one of the concepts that everybody says, well, there is local authority because there's a governing body, either the city is overseeing or the county is overseeing. And in some cases, that doesn't happen when they move into another municipality or move into another county. So this is going to force them, as they move into from one county, like for example, Adams County to Weld County, that the Weld County Board of County Commissioners, as overseeing that project in Weld County, then also gets to approve the service plan. Okay.
Who doesn't like this bill, other than developers?
Well, I'm actually a little bit surprised at this point that we haven't had a lot of Republican support come out on this, because it seems to me that the Democrats have co-opted this idea that they're the protectors of individual rights and personal private property rights, and this comes down to taxation without representation, individual representation. The essence of constitutional Republican government. So we're actively seeking some co-sponsors and some supporters on the Republican side.
Who's introducing the bill?
Glenn Vaught.
So Representative Vaught, currently in House District 48.
Correct.
So he's introducing it. Have you talked with developers? What do they think of the bill?
Well, they don't like it because they have control. They have complete control right now. Their whole goal is going to be to kill this bill because it dilutes their ability to do things the way they want to. It means they have to be accountable to the people in the community, as opposed to in some cases today they can do what they want without any accountability.
Wow. So Monday in committee, Department of Local Affairs, people can listen online. It's easy to do. How can they get a hold of you, Jeff, if people have questions or they want to get involved in this or want to know more about your campaign? How can they get a hold of you?
Absolutely. I got a couple ways here. My campaign website is HareforHouse.com. So it's HareFor House.com. We've got a very active Facebook link and posting process. There's at the bottom of our website you can follow the campaign. My email address is jeff@HareforHouse.com. And my office number, if people want to call me, is 970-785-6455.
And this has been a passion of yours for a while because you've obviously walked the walk. And many of us don't know. I mean, if you go look at your property tax bill, see how many metro districts you belong to. A lot of people don't realize they're actually in several. They are everywhere. They're prolific.
Yeah. Just one quick quote here. Commissioner Garcia teaches an American government class at Ames, and he used my leadership on this issue as an example of how one person can make a difference in the system. So I do think we have a representative government. We as individual citizens need to hold our elected officials accountable, but we also need to get involved in the process. So pick and choose an issue that's a passion for you in the community, and I'm happy to work with people on some of those things, but that's why I'm running, because I think I can make a difference at the State House, and I think my history on this particular issue has shown that.
Great. Thanks so much for being in studio with us. We greatly appreciate it. Good luck on Monday. I will look forward to following it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Great. 10:46 the time. Quick break. Coming back, we're going to get to this date in history, so don't go away.